What's up, everybody? It's Yong here, and welcome to a Death Stranding news update. The following information comes from one of two Death Stranding posters that Kojima released following the game's announcement. Something that I was made aware of recently is that if you look at the dog tags around the neck of the protagonist, played by Norman Reedus, it's possible to spot equations engraved on them. Only two of them can be seen in this poster, and fans quickly found that these are the Schwarzschild radius and the Dirac equation. So let me explain what they are, starting with the Schwarzschild radius. This equation, also often referred to as the gravitational radius, can essentially be described as the radius of the sphere such that if all the mass of an object were to be compressed within that sphere, the escape velocity from the surface of the sphere would equal the speed of light. An example of an object where the mass is within its Schwarzschild radius is a black hole. Very interesting indeed. Let's also take a look at what the Dirac equation is. It is defined to be a relativistic wave equation that, in its free form, or including electromagnetic interactions, it describes all spin negative half-massive particles such as electrons and quarks, for which parity is a symmetry and is consistent with both the principles of quantum mechanics and the theory of special relativity, and was the first theory to account fully for special relativity in the context of quantum mechanics. Didn't get all that? Me neither, but basically the equation deals with quantum mechanics, which has to do with processes involving particles like atoms and photons, as well as special relativity, a physical theory regarding the relationship between space and time. So holy shit, a lot of possible implications here, and we're just looking at two of the equations out of what I'm assuming to be six, one for each dog tag. So what can we deduce from this hidden clue? Hard to get into specifics with so little context, but the most obvious vague assumption we can make is that it's probably safe to expect space and time to be a big part of the game, particularly time travel. One interesting theory that's been making the rounds is that Norman Reedus' character might have somehow traveled through a black hole and ended up stranded in this strange place. Or perhaps he was forced into a black hole by unknown entities to keep him stranded, perhaps by these 5 monolithic figures we see at the end of the trailer. And in traveling through the black hole, perhaps Norman Reedus' character traveled through timelines, or hell, maybe even to another dimension. Another big hint that Death Stranding will deal with time travel is the way the trailer was shot. We all know how much Kojima loves his movies and how much he likes to reference them in tandem with some of the concepts and themes of his games. One movie that is particularly concerned with time travel is The Terminator, and one of its most iconic scenes is when the T-800 travels through time and materializes in the middle of the street completely naked. What's really interesting is that if you compare this scene to Death Stranding's teaser trailer, you will realize that they share some uncanny resemblances. Check this out.
Buried underground, but I'll keep coming.
Yeah, no freaking way that's a coincidence. Could this be hinting that, like the Terminator, Norman Reedus' character is from another world or from another time? This also alludes back to something that Kojima said throughout his E3 2016 interviews and through Twitter. The game's title, Death Stranding, basically means that something has been stranded from some world. If you think about it, in the Terminator series, anytime someone or something is sent back through time by the time displacement equipment, they could essentially be considered to be stranded in another time and essentially in another world, with no means of going back. Could it be for this reason that Kojima chose to shoot Death Stranding's teaser trailer to look so similar to Terminator? To hint that Norman Reedus is also stranded in another time, in another world, or another dimension? I feel like that's a strong possibility. Something else that Kojima might be hinting at is that, like the T-800, Norman Reedus isn't entirely human, or that he might be a product of another civilization, perhaps as a part of an experiment. After all, we do see this bizarre mechanical-looking umbilical cord attached to himself and the baby. It has this artificial birth vibe to it, especially with the C-section scar that Norman Reedus has, suggesting that the baby was actually born from him, which could only be achieved by some kind of science that doesn't exist yet, by some kind of experiment. At the very least, I get the feeling that there's more to Norman Reedus' character than meets the eye, in the same manner that underneath all that flesh, the T-800 is a cyborg, an artificial product. So there you have it, folks, some interesting theories regarding time travel and the nature of Norman Reedus' character that I thought I would share with you guys. Obviously, I'll be exploring these ideas more in depth and share my findings in my upcoming trailer analysis for Death Stranding's teaser trailer. But in the meantime, here is something for you guys to chew on. Let us know in the comments below your thoughts and theories about the prospect of time travel. And to be further updated on gaming news, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.